Chris Curtis, Roman Kopylov. This is the people's main event to a degree, right? Like this is the matchup that you're looking for because you have a very high class technical boxer in Chris Curtis, who, albeit, is coming off of that hamstring injury that he had in what was the fight against? It was against Brendan Allen, right? The last one, where in the end of the fight he just jacked up his hamstring pretty bad. Then you got Roman Kopylov, man, who was on a major tear at one point. He had stuffed like 30 plus consecutive takedown attempts and nobody was touching him. Enter our friend Fluffy Hernandez, right? He came down, he showed us what the blueprint is. AJ, Chris Curtis doesn't wrestle, so we don't have any of that to worry about. This is a pure kickboxing matchup. But before we jump into that, you heard about the story where Chris Curtis was alleging that Roman Kopylov had sent spies into his camp at Extreme Couture to spy on him? It was just some like random Russian guys or whatnot. Ended up not being true, and he had to apologize to Kopylov, and he was like, bro, this dude is sending spies. It's beef. How has this played into that? Did you hear about that?
I didn't hear about it, Derek, but I wish I did, man. That's awesome. I guess you can never be too prepared, and in 2025, you can never be too worried that there's spies around. Just maybe don't blame it on a race, or I guess a country in that case.
Something like that, man. But the point is, right? If you're not paranoid, you're not fully prepared, right? So, like, I like where your head is, Chris Curtis, but the question is going to become this, man. Being as technical as he is as a pure boxer, I say pure boxer because he doesn't throw a lot of kicks, right? He has to find a way to shut down the body kicks from Roman Kopylov. He has to find a way to not allow Roman Kopylov to stay at distance, because the one thing that it's the bane of my existence betting on Chris Curtis is that sometimes it feels like he just takes a little too long to find the perfect shots before he starts opening up. But he's accurate and he lands. Does that approach work against a Roman Kopylov, or does he have no time to waste? 15 minutes.
I don't think he has time to waste, Derek, especially with how Roman Kopylov has been fighting lately. He gets having that snowball effect, man. He turns it on, and when he sees moments, he strikes, especially like you're saying with the body kicks. Like, he does some work. And if Chris Curtis isn't able to get on the inside, put some pressure on him, control how the distance is actually being done, then he's going to have a hard time. And hopefully Chris Curtis proves us wrong again, because we've said it before that sometimes it just seems like it's not his moment in this one. This seems like one of those fights where it's not necessarily a big name, as much as we love Roman Kopylov, not the biggest name, but enough of a proving ground in what MMA is to be able to get him back on track to where Chris Curtis was.
I guess you're right. At first, I was a little taken back, but if you look at the last five, Joaquin Buckley, Kelvin Gastelum, Imavov, Marc-Andre Barriol, and then Brendan Allen. And then you get Roman Kopylov, which is kind of no-name-ish, but the toughest part about it, you get the no-name guy that has arguably more skill than the rest of them, you know what I mean? So that's going to be, this is going to be an interesting matchup. Now, this is the other factor, right? Chris Curtis is very high volume. Like, once he gets going, man, he does land. The number is almost 6 significant strikes landed per minute, but he gets hit almost 6 times per minute as well with significant strikes landed. In a trade of blows right here, where these dudes are kickboxing and they're ready to give it full tilt, man. Let's talk about the numbers. 2.5 rounds is the over, and minus 220 is the odds for the over right there. You're not seeing an under happening on this one?
Not really, Derek. I was actually looking at this one, and it being 2.5 does make me think the under might happen, but with how durable, it's hard to say durable for Chris Curtis because of how his last fight went, but again, that wasn't necessarily him getting starched, right? It's an injury, things happen. Like, this guy can stand in the pocket, he's down to trade, he has good head movement, sometimes he takes some pictures so he can get caught, and I think that's where Roman Kopylov is able to have a good feed back and forth, and if with Chris Curtis able to put pressure, or if Roman Kopylov just has his way, 2.5 rounds, it's a long time for two very skilled fighters, so I can see the under. I'm not sold on it, though.
Minus 140 is the decision prop for Roman Kopylov. Again, he's one of the couple different fighters who do hold a prop of that value. Fair or foul?
I think it's fair. I think it's fair, especially with how dangerous Chris Curtis is. I don't see Roman Kopylov wanting to get into the long duration exchanges, right? Not wanting to trade 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going back and forth. I see him working the kicks, working the distance, keeping the range motion, and get Chris Curtis tired by having him chase him.
Yeah, man. And I'm curious to see what stance Chris Curtis is going to hold, because Roman Kopylov is a southpaw, right? If Chris Curtis opens up an orthodox, the body kick is there all day. If you go southpaw, well, then you can kind of switch it up a little bit, right? And then you can kind of deter it a little bit. It'll be an interesting exchange right here. But for Chris Curtis, man, I don't think he's out of this fight. I think it's very strange for him to be a plus 220 dog right here. I'm not sure what the exact live odd is right now, but if you just look at his background, man, this dude is legit. I'm more curious than anything else is like, are you fully 100%? Are you 100% healed, man? You tore your hamstring like off the bone or something like that, and now X amount of months later, you're like, yep, I'm ready to get it against Roman. I don't know, man. This is my big picture question for you right here, though. I feel like a Chris Curtis win right here. This is a big win for him to the people who are in the know. To the casuals, probably doesn't mean anything. But a Roman Kopylov win, AJ, over Chris Curtis. It's getting harder and harder to deny the man in his division right here. What else does he need to do at 185 pounds, bro, to get that warranted like top 5, top 10 type shot?
Oh man, if you're Kopylov, I think you need a couple more decisive victories, right? Like if he's able to go in and just put a whoop into Chris Curtis, I don't think he's going to knock him out. I don't think that's going to be the case. But if he is, and then you get another knockout on your next opponent, I can see the UFC brass looking at Roman Kopylov and wanting to get him more shine going forward, top 5, top 10, right up in the mix.
I'll tell you what I want to see. I want to see Imavov versus Kopylov right there. That's a fight that I would like to see. But again, you got to earn the opportunity. Only way you can earn the opportunity is get a couple big wins. Let's not forget, Imavov is slated to fight Israel Adesanya, so it's levels. Even Adesanya versus Kopylov, that would be a fun fight too. But yeah, levels to this. But AJ, to conclude us right here, the consensus pick once again right here, it will be Roman Kopylov. But the question is, are you betting minus 140 decision on this one?
Minus 140 decision for Roman Kopylov. Yeah, actually, Derek. Yeah, I was looking at especially the minus 260 money line. I don't see it happening. The submission's not at all. Minus 140 for Roman Kopylov decision makes all the sense.